a lot to get into with Mr. Bill Haney. He's going to join us in studio right here, right now. Let us say hello to the inimitable, the often imitated, never duplicated, the one and only Mr. Bill Haney. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, Ariel. How are you,
Nice to have you in studio.
Good. Thank you.
Everything
thank you.
good?
Thank you.
Salam alaikum, my brother.
Walaikum salam, brother.
Please,
thank
have
you.
A seat. Have a seat.
Thank you. Oh, my
This
God.
Is great. Now you made it.
New York.
Now you made it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you live in New York now?
I do.
Well, when did that happen?
Well, we've been making a transition.
Okay.
What a wonderful city New York is.
Yes.
But I'm officially here to fight. As after the fight, everyone left, and I'm still here in New York.
You're a West Coast guy.
Yes, I'm here, but I'm here on the East Coast. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Why the move? Any particular reason?
Well, my daughter is in school here.
Okay.
It's just a wonderful opportunity, wonderful city where the Haneys have no excuses because you can be anything in New York City.
I love it. I love it. Devin not living here though, right?
Devin has a place in Florida.
Okay.
And also he has a place in California.
Okay.
And Nevada. So.
And I saw Sean. Your son yesterday, second sparring session?
Wow, you're on top
How about
of it,
that?
Ariel.
How about that?
Listen, we tested all of the parent-to-partner patients that I have because we were in tennis for quite some time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So now he's making the transition?
He's making a transition. He's been around the sport forever, and he's a natural at it. He's had a gift to be able to work on the footwork in tennis that transcends into boxing. And any good tennis coach loves boxing, and any good boxing coach loves tennis as well.
Was that always the plan? Or did he say one day, yo, I want to make the move?
No, not at all. Not at all. It wasn't my plan. It ultimately comes down to what I believe in. My kids, they're going to go longer, harder, stronger, and faster about their dream and not mine. It's a passion that he's developed. And I'm just here as a parent, supporting him. But it was nothing that I encouraged.
Okay. Do you want him to go into boxing? Like, you know what your son has to deal with. You know how dangerous the game can be. Would you prefer if your other children don't follow that path?
Like I said, the more wisdom I get as I get older, I just get more open to what they really want to do. And I know that they're gonna be great. They're gonna be happy. You have one life to live, and may they live it in something that they're happy at doing. You know what I mean?
Amen.
And through that, a success.
Okay, so let's talk about just a couple of weeks ago, Times Square. Now that it has come and gone, first I want to ask you about just like the whole show because Ryan afterwards said he felt it was a little hollow. He felt like it sort of felt like a sparring match, if you will. You weren't in the ring, but you took it all in. You were right there.
We can't 100% trust anything that Ryan Garcia says.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Here on the Ariel Helwani Show, let's introduce combat to reality through Bill Haney's lens.
Please.
You have a wonderful opportunity in the mecca of media to put on an event, to showcase what we do in this sport. But you have no opportunity to lie and not tell the truth. Whether you're in the octagon or whether you're in the squared circle, there's nowhere to run or nowhere to hide. Can we make that? Can we let, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? And either you're prepared or you aren't prepared. Ryan Garcia, he said he had prepared himself. He said he was on his best behavior, but of course, he didn't have that one key ingredient, the elephant in the room. There was no Ostarine, right? So what he might say has no necessarily relevance unless he wants to go back in the ring with Devin and do it as a clean fighter, something that we earned the opportunity to do. But with Devin at being 26 years old and fighting more world champions than anyone, you can look it up at 26, whether you're Canelo, you're Floyd, Pernell Whitaker, by the time you're 26 and you fought 7 world champions and beat them in some capacity, shape, or form, in any which way that you want to pick it, he did it. It's historic. You can call it boring, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but you got to call it winning, Ariel. You got to call it winning. And that's the name of the game, is to win. So we've heard some criticism going back and forth about this and that, but put him with the greats. By 26, he found a way to beat 7 champions. You have Oscar, by the time he was 26, he had already lost. So the question or not Bill Haney and his expertise, well, you see, we're right there in history. Nor do we have the machine that machine, that marketing machine, whether you're up under a top rank who we've worked with, you're up under a golden boy who we've worked with, or a Matchroom who we've worked with. We're trailblazing the way that boxing should be covered. Boxing should be a father and a son and a father who've started from the amateurs and made it all the way to the top, doing it their way. And I think that that's what they want to kill off. God gave us this. He gave me the opportunity to be a father. That's a blessing, right? He gave Devin a gift in boxing, and through that, we've made history. And they want to make it a mystery, Ariel. They want to make it a mystery.
What did you think of your son's performance against Jose Ramirez? If you could,
I loved it.
You loved it. Why?
I loved it because we shut down the critics and to say that if we don't want to get hit with a hook, you're going to take it home with you. It's going to stay in the trunk. If we don't want to get hit with a right hand, we're not going to do. That's boxing. That's the way boxing is going. That's the old school. You handicap a fighter, and you got to see at 26. Another dimension in Devin's game. And I'll tell you one thing, Ariel, they're even more intimidated. Yeah, you'll call him boring, but you don't call him easy. You say a lot of shit about him, but you don't call him a loser. That's what you didn't call him.
Why do you think people felt that way about the performance? I mean, one hypothesis is, look, yes, you want to win, you want to see your fighters win, but you also want to entertain, right? And sometimes, we had Conor Benn on the show last week, and he said, look, I'd rather be in a
Conor Benn started late in the game. He got caught. He started late. He has no real in-depth toolbox. When you saw Conor Benn and Chris Eubank, no respect, no disrespect to him, but you saw two fighters that started late in the game. So you're not going to see dimensions to their game. So if you get two fighters that kind of know how to fight, you're in for a good fight. When you get a fighter with dimensions and a warehouse full of, an arsenal full of tools like Devin, boy, now you're going to see the science of boxing. It's called the sweet science. It's not rock 'em, sock 'em up.
I get that.
But to last in the sport and not come in last, you're going to have to know that. You're going to have to know the science. You're going to have to study it. And one thing about Devin is like I'm saying is we keep continuing to see different things at him. Oh, it was a hell of a team in Robert Garcia and the Golden Boy and Jose Ramirez and all that. But what they studied for Devin, no different than Papachenko when he studied for Devin. And on that night, we showed him something different, Ariel. You got to point that out.
100%. 100%.
And to shut out a great coach and Robert Garcia, a two-time champion, a unified champion in Ramirez, to shut those guys out and not give them an answer back to anything we're doing in that squared circle is nothing but the sweet science. And they don't want to give credit for that. So guess what? Put on the dunce hat and go sit back there in the class and let me and Ariel chop this real game up.
I appreciate it and totally understand. The whole point is to hit and not get hit. I get that. But there is a balance between entertainment and that, right?
Well, depending on what you're looking at or not looking at. What they want to mislead you into believing that it's a place to run and hide. But when you're covering the sport and you're on top of it the way we are, you let them know, man, it ain't no way to place to run. And even in the octagon, who you cover that sport so beautifully,
thank you.
It's somewhere in which that they turn their back in a way that in boxing you can't. You have to stay in front of the man. So the art is to be in front of the man, being able to hit him and not get hit. That's where the art comes in at. And for that team, wonderful team, like I said, to shut him out 12 rounds for Devin after coming back from off of all of the stuff that he had went through with Ryan Garcia, the whole debacle, and them saying to me, well, let's see what he's going to do. I'm going to show another dimension to the game. If we don't want to be hit, we're not going to get hit, and we're going to hit you. It was a couple times, was not Ramirez buckled in that fight? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was buckled, right? But I'm saying is we can go get him or we can continue to punish him. What I said is that I was going to make Ramirez look like one thing that you've heard out that Mayweather team is straight up and down, no special effects. Who's ever been able to make Ramirez an Olympian, right? A guy that's fought for the undisputed title, look straight up and down, no special effects. Devin has that way of implementing that when we take you and handicap you.
you know the narrative after the weekend was, all right, the Garcia fight, the Haney fight, the Canelo fight, historically low output. Were you expecting that kind of output from Devin? Or if you're able to critique anything,
Absolutely.
were you expecting a little bit more?
It felt beautiful because we went in to handicap Jose Ramirez. We told him we were going to handicap him. We were not going to let him do shit. And that's what the game plan was. And for Devin to stick to that game plan showed an incredible mental fortitude and discipline that I applaud him for, because ultimately he let me design the game plan to handicap Jose Ramirez on that Friday night.
How was his confidence in behind closed doors? How was his confidence? Because you learn a lot about a fighter in how they respond from a tough night out. And so were you feeling any sort of more anxiety from him, more nerves from him?
Oh, no, it's strictly building.
Okay.
It's strictly building because you'll use all that as fuel. So we're building off of the stuff that happened on April the 20th. We're building off that, and we're using all of it, all of the energy in it to build a better Devin Haney. You know what I mean? And what I got a chance to see was that he was disciplined. He was disciplined, something that the critics and everyone was in question. Can he be disciplined? Can he keep his hands up? Well, absolutely can he keep his hands up. We can keep our hands up, our feet moving. We can do all the things that the greats do. And you got a chance to see a well-conditioned machine.
I saw him comment on social media about the commentary. What did you think of the commentary that night for his fight on television?
I don't listen to the commentary, nor do I listen necessarily to the media that speak on the narratives that you speak about.
Okay.
Because if that narrative was true, then it would be rolling on its own. What they tried to do was spend a little bit of money and creating a campaign that doesn't work for a guy that has gave 7 champions an opportunity to dethrone him in some way, shape, or form. 7.
So you rewatched the fight, right?
Huh?
You rewatched the fight?
No.
You've not rewatched it?
No.
How come?
Because it's on to the next. I mean,
you want to revel in your body of work? No.
No. After the first round or the second round, I knew what it was, and I knew what it was going to be. You know what I mean? But it was about, can Devin be disciplined, be as disciplined in that fight as he would need to be in any of the other ones. Okay. And that's what that was about.
Okay.
It was about not biting off more than you can chew. It was not about doing anything other than winning the fight. And I believe that that's the most entertaining thing that can happen in that ring, because I know the guys that are commenting are a little bit slow. They're not talking as fast as they used to talk, because they were thinking offense, and not understanding that this is science, and you can end up a vegetable in this sport. I mean, we gave them action. We gave y'all action with Ryan. We stepped to him, and then you said, well, Devin's a master boxer. Why is he doing that? Why is he not being Devin? So we gave you a little bit of your own medicine. No telling what we might do next. I mean, there's a warehouse of shit for us to do, but there's just no telling. We have to give you some of this drama.
Speaking of which, I saw a back and forth between you and Robert Garcia regarding the ambulance. He's saying, why are you putting this out there? Everyone had to go in the ambulance. You're saying we didn't have to go in the ambulance.
No, nor did Rolly, who won. He didn't go in the ambulance. We didn't go in the ambulance, and that's what I said. I said that after, right, in this combat sport, in this sport that's that everyone says is so easy, and they say that there was no performance. Well, I said after the fight, he was in the back of the ambulance getting checked out for whatever you get checked out for, right? While they're saying that. It's easy for Robert to say what running and to say that, what does he can say, let's apologize. Well, his fighter is the one that's in the back of the ambulance getting checked out. While everybody is saying nothing happens, well, it's his fighter that's there, right?
Right.
It's his fighter that gave it the best, that we gave 36 minutes. 36 minutes. He has and Ramirez is a good guy, man, comes from a great, a well-respected part of California for me,
sure,
being from Northern California. And he had 36 minutes to change his family's lives, change the trajectory of his career. And he didn't do it. Why not be truthful about it and applaud the fact of that, Devin is better than what they're saying he is? Because it only undermines who Robert Garcia is and who Jose Ramirez is. It doesn't do anything for us. You could say that we're trash. What does that make you?
I'm happy you're here for multiple reasons because there's an opportunity to clear up a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is great. I saw yesterday some rumors and stuff. Can you clear this up for us? Some people insinuating that there was an incident regarding Devin and the New York City or New York State Commission, that there was some sort of incident between him. Is this accurate? Is there any truth behind this?
False. They, and you'll see a lot of things surrounding around Devin, right?
No physicality or anything like that? Some people saying that there was pushing involved, anything like this?
Shout out to Champ Side, who coined the phrase along with us is, they say everything except let's fight. Yeah. You know what I mean? You'll hear some good things. You'll hear a guy that's in our division, in or around our division who might deserve an opportunity, like a Richardson Hitchens, who'll come out and say something about Devin and favorable into the style, because we know that styles make fights, and the more styles you have, the better fighter you are. You know what I mean? A pressure fighter like Jose Ramirez, who traditionally throws a lot of punches, right? Who should be punching like his life depended on it or like his career depended on it. Chose to have the lowest out punch of his career. For us, and me being a true coach and also a fight fan, well, I know what kind of performance that was, what Devin did to him.
You negated that there was no offense. But just to clear it up, nothing happened beforehand with the New York Commission?
No.
Okay, nothing.
No. What I'm saying is a lot of other stuff that's happening in New York. And like I say, shout out to Richard Hitchison in that fight that they're about to have
14th,
with George Cambosos, a hell of a team in that Cambosos family who just continue to keep fighting, George and Jim. So shout out them, and shout out to, like I said, a great fight between them that should happen. But this shit about somebody, and I ain't heard nothing about that, don't know anything about that, and I would be the first one to know.
Sure. I saw you guys come back to watch the Garcia fight. Obviously, you have a vested interest. As you're watching this performance unfold, Garcia's performance against Rolly and Rolly winning the fight and ultimately wins the fight, what are you thinking? I was dying to know what you and Devin were thinking, because is there a part of you thinking like, holy crap, we did our job, we won, and now the big rematch is slipping away?
Well, Allah's the perfect planner, right? God is the perfect planner. What Devin had said then, and for Devin to be vindicated for himself and the people, and seeing that, no, you don't just gotta just beat that guy. That guy's over there beating himself. He had an opportunity where it was a classic 3-3 amateur rival, and he came in dirty, right? He came in dirty because when you face a Devin, that's what, everyone gets up for him. But when you face in Devin, you're like, man, I can't lose to this guy, man. I can't lose to this guy. It was okay to lose to Rolly. It was okay. And the thing about that is I think he'll be forever haunted with that PED stuff, where he tried to sweep it up under the rug like it was nothing. So shout out to all the athletes that are clean, and all the young athletes. Continue to being clean, because that PED shit is a terrible cloud to hang over you.
Why do you think, okay, so one guy tested positive a couple times, one guy didn't. Yet the guy who didn't, in the aftermath, has been vilified, has turned into the villain, and the one who did is sort of like the people's champ, if you will. You know what I mean? Is loved by a lot. Why is your son vilified when he technically did nothing wrong?
You know what? I think that it's a strong media push for that to happen. We have took the non-traditional route and went for the people, and saying that listen, it's comforting to maybe ride with Bob Arum and that machine, or Golden Boy, or PBC, or Eddie Hearn. But then the narrative will be created that you have to roll with them. What we wanted to do was provide hope and inspiration that other teams, father and sons, that if you have enough talent at home and you have enough discipline and wisdom in the house, that you can truly make it. So, but within that, you have enemies. whether it be press, whether it be promoters or whatever. So the stories that they want, we embrace it. We embrace it because we know that it's not us. So being the villain, I mean, I think that we're the heroes, actually.
Does it not bother you though? Like everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants.
No.
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 Don't you want to? I mean, you put your time and effort into this.
You want to be respected.
Do you feel like you are? Do you feel like you and your son are?
Listen, 7 world champions without being in the machine. Well, guess what? The next father and son is listening. Somebody is listening, no matter what. It's not them that work for Oscar, that's running Oscar's print or running Floyd or running Canelo's print. The numbers speak for itself. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. Devin has more world champions independent under Devin Haney Promotions and himself than any of those guys by 26. So that says that's company of the greats. The other guys in this division, there's other guys that's operating right now is just operating in the Devin Haney era.
The obvious is the lawsuit, right? People said, you don't do that. You don't like that. That's breaking a code. Is there any part of you that regrets doing that?
Well, I know this building right here, this big monster, you do any violations, you're getting sued. It's part of business. It's contracts. It's lawsuits. It's business. And when you've reached this height, right, where you're going against the big boys, it's all part of it. It's not none of that yo-yo, that other stuff that goes on. I mean, and so when we share it with the world, we share the good, the bad, and the ugly. Ariel, we got to do it. We got to let you know that that's part of it. But one thing that you'll say about Devin is that we've adhered to every part of the contract. That's why we've been in the business and we've been successful enough to have 7 other champions from all different companies do what we call make events happen. Do what we call good business, right? If we were doing bad business, if it wasn't the way. So I think that you'll hear a lot of narratives being created, but they have no steam. They have no luster because they're not real.
Where does it currently stand? Where does it sit right now, the lawsuit?
He definitely did some damage, right? We understand that, right? We know he did damage.
But is it still in the court?
No, but do we understand that he did damage?
Who's that?
Ryan Garcia.
Damage to your son?
No, he did damage by coming in on our stream.
I mean, when you say damage, what do you mean? Do you mean in the fight, or do you mean like to his reputation?
Both.
Well, sure. I mean, he claims he didn't know, but yes, that was in his system. So he wins the fight, and then it gets taken away from him. He gets the 1-year suspension. Historically, in combat sports, you get a 1-year, a 2-year, or a banishment.
Right.
You don't historically see, as you well know, the fighter sue the other fighter. Not saying it's wrong or right. I'm not weighing it. I'm just wondering where it stands right now.
No, so everyone, for the record, we haven't been compensated. If damages were done, well,
at all?
No. What I'm saying is no, in no form or fashion.
You're getting a call.
Maybe that's Ryan. I'm calling right now to settle up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But is the lawsuit still alive in the courts?
But this is what I'm saying is that if we both agree that there are damages, now this is just me and you. This is not Devin.
Sure.
I mean, this is just me and you. I believe that there have been damages. You believe that there have been damages. But Devin, who I work for, hasn't been compensated in any way. And I'm sure he's cool with it, but that doesn't necessarily sit well with me.
So the fine and all that, none of that went to Devin?
Nothing.
All to New York?
All to Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions, who historically doesn't take care of fighters. Right. You see fighters complaining all the time about being compensated. No one is being compensated over there, right? And we did a deal with them, and we were damaged. Even the New York State Athletic Commission agreed that we were damaged and awarded the fight promoter and promotion $1 million, in which that we weren't compensated a dime.
Wow.
Right.
And so you did tweet recently like, hey, if we get the rematch, I'll drop this, right?
Right.
So does that still stand?
Well, yeah, exactly, because that's the compensation we need is whipping his ass.
Why not both, though? Why not get compensation for the damages and the rematch? Why does it have to be one or the other?
You know what I mean? Like I said, it sits better with us whipping him out for it. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so why not have that fight on May, whenever that was, 2nd? Why wasn't they were both there that night, Everyone wanted to see it. Why wasn't the fight booked that night? You're both available, as opposed to, you know, tempting fate with these other fights.
You know what, they chose to get tune up. I think Bernard came out initially and said that he believed that Ryan would need a tune up, and Oscar and all them. So, you know,
would you have taken it on that night?
Absolutely, we would have taken it.
You would have preferred that?
We were ready.
Yeah,
we're ready. But obviously, what Turkey put on the table, I agreed with. You know what I mean? Devin agreed with, which was fine. You know what I mean? And right now we're expecting the same thing that we agreed to,
which was, you know, what, the October
date, and whipping him out.
Is that still alive? Did the result in the main event affect that at all?
It didn't affect us. It didn't affect
the way promoters.
No, it didn't affect the way that we look at him.
Sure,
I'm sure, you know, Devin.
I still want to see the fight. I think the fight is still like its own story.
Right.
It would be nicer if Ryan was coming off a win, but I still want to see the fight just as much as any other fight out there right now. I was just wondering if you had any sense of whether Turkey and the promoters still want to put on the fight. Do they feel like it's been devalued because Ryan lost?
You know what? I agreed to the fight. You know, so I can't back out of it. You know what I mean? I think they've already done promotion for the fight leading up to it. You know, that's you know, Rolly Romero went on record for saying, you know, well, you guys are already promoting. So Devin has spent time in promoting that fight. We've spent time in negotiating that fight for all intent purposes. We believe that that's the next fight.
Okay, and that would be October, like mid-October or so?
Yes.
In Riyadh?
Mid-October in Riyadh.
You like that? Do you prefer it being there as opposed to in America, or would you rather it?
It's a dream of us, you know, as a family, as a team, to fight over there. You know what I mean? Of course, we fought in Australia a couple of times, and we know that you know, one of the places that's on our bucket list, our true bucket list, is the fight in the Middle East.
What type of testing? What type of rules, regulations are you going to put into place as far as in the build up to the fight?
You know what? We reached out to VADA to continue testing, to let VADA know that Devin is in Miami right now, and you know, he's ready to be tested at any given time. You know, I don't know what's happening with their team and what they're doing, but we're in VADA, and if you're not in VADA right now and you're talking about fighting Devin, then we question whether or not you're clean.
Was that in place for the Times Square card as well?
Absolutely. And for those that question whether or not Devin was, and you know, and Teofimo, whether or not they were all main events, Devin's ability to be the second fight or you know, the co-main influenced what everyone got a chance to see was a clean fight, a fight where fighters were actually being tested in a way that they couldn't come in dirty. And Ryan Garcia, who I believe was under a microscope, right? I don't think another dirty test he would have been able to, you know what I mean? He would have been able to write the narrative that they attempted to write. So, you know, I think I attribute that to Devin standing on his all 10, you know what I mean? And saying that he won't be involved in a fight that isn't VADA approved. And also shout out to Turkey and Sela and Ring, who aren't as vocal always about VADA, but they work with VADA as well as all the other you know, companies do. But they did a great job in providing the budget that was needed for the fight, for all the fighters to be tested the way that VADA believes that they can be tested and detected. And you know, so it was a great night for boxing, and I believe that if the media writes the story the way it is, then you'll understand what you saw. But a lot of times you have fans that just come to the sport, or you have fans that are being influenced by their favorite fighter or their favorite company, and they're writing false narratives.
In your opinion, how big of a problem is it in the sport right now, PEDs? Do you think a lot of guys are finding ways to skirt the system?
You know how big of a problem it is you only have one fighter that's 24/7, 365, Devin, the Dream Haney, at 26 years old. But once again, I said he's the youngest guy with the most champions. So he'll truly be the most concerned about guys coming in hot.
Do you think a lot of guys are doing it?
I don't think that a lot of guys are concerned about who's doing it. So that's where I accuse them for being.
What do you mean?
Is the concern. Like the conversation that we're having right now,
Sure.
you don't hear this conversation as open as we're doing it.
Sure.
So that kind of concerns me. I don't know if they're doing it,
Okay.
but I sure know they're not talking about it, and they're definitely not trying to bring light to the situation.
Yes. Was this something that was on your mind before the Garcia fight, or did the Garcia experience kind of open your eyes to like, holy crap, this?
Oh
could
no,
change things?
I knew going into it. I knew that Devin, at a very young age, had the skills and the boxing IQ to go far in the sport, and I knew that the only way to slow him down would be, or one of the ways would be, is bringing in someone on PEDs. So I've always been concerned about it. We've always been VADA tested. I think Devin has tested, I don't want to call out a number, but it's like with 7 champions, obviously, you know, in all of those fights, VADA has been testing. So, you know what I mean? I just encourage other fighters, if you are clean, then, you know, speak on it. So we can, you know what I mean, have the sport, bring the sport, when they always say make the sport great again, well, let's make the sport clean for once.
I saw just a couple of days ago, Oscar said he will never sit on a dais with you again. If this rematch comes to fruition, we all hope it does, how's this all going to play out?
Listen, Oscar doesn't dictate anything. The people that want to see the fight, you, right, and your audience, they're the ones that dictate what fights happen. You know what I mean? And for that matter, if he's not dancing, matter of fact, what does he have over there? Who does he have over there? When he's talking about going at Devin, if it's not Ryan Garcia, who does he have? So if he thinks Ryan Garcia is going to get beat because he's not on PEDs, then you don't have anything. So he's not saying anything. We run through companies. Well, by the time we get through, if I do a deal with to give me a fighter, just like when we did it with Top Rank, it was for whatever Top Rank had. It could have been for Lomachenko. It could have been for Shakur. It could have been for whoever he had. Same thing with Eddie Hearn, Regis Program, whoever you have.
Yeah.
Devin has the style that gives any fight that he's in a problem and a big chance for Devin to win versus lose.
So in other words, you're saying he has nothing that you want other than Ryan?
Other than Ryan.
So but let's say we get to October and the fight's happening. How are you guys going to be able to coexist, you and Oscar? Because Ryan's one of his guys, and that's likely the next fight.
Long as he's over there on that side and I'm on this side, we all right. Long as he don't cross sides, stay on that side and I'll stay on my side.
How do you feel about Oscar?
I mean, he's arguably one of the best fighters, right?
Sure, of all time.
You know, of all time.
gold
You know what I
medalist.
mean? So I really have a whole lot of respect
For him as a fighter.
Oscar as a fighter, right? And what he's done, right, with a gold medal and everything. You know, but when it comes to Devin, I don't pull any punches. That's my job, right? And that's somebody that I love and I care about. So when Oscar is shooting bullshit and nobody else calls him on it, I feel compelled.
So he said, I can't believe Devin hasn't fired Bill yet.
And I can't believe Ryan hasn't fired him because they still don't have a championship over there. Still. He got right there to the door. He can't make Ryan into a champion. Ryan, I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry for you. I don't see how he's moving him, right? Because at the end of the day, Ryan Garcia, who had 12 national championships, right, as an amateur, I believe it might be 12. You know, Henry, don't quote me because it might be more, but you don't have one world championship. Whose fault is it? You know what I mean? So when you talk about that and you take a chance fucking around now, you know, who knows where it might go.
Did you see some people say like, hey, Ryan's better when he's crazy. When the Ryan who showed up in April the drinking and all that, he's better. He needs that. The guy who showed up a couple weeks ago was too subdued. He needs to go back to crazy Ryan.
No,
What do you make of that?
The Ryan that you got a chance to see is the real Ryan.
Which one?
The last Ryan.
Okay.
That's it's funny that he got 2 of these motherfuckers, right? but shout out to Henry and his wife who produced 2 motherfuckers.
Golly.
Yeah, right. So, but you just didn't know if he was going to show up, Ariel. You didn't know if he was going to show up against us. It was hard to train for that motherfucker. It was hard to, and then you have a decision to make when he's 3 pounds overweight. So that person that they're asking for, you know what I mean, is not anything for boxing or anything that boxing needs.
I saw you tweeted like, hey, Canelo fought the same fight as my son, and yet everyone's saying like he was clinical and this and that, and they're criticizing my son. I kind of felt like Canelo got heat too. Did you not
but
feel
shout out to Antonio Tarver, who carefully...
There's your stats right there.
Yeah, but shout out to Antonio Tarver, who didn't cover this stat, who carefully pointed out they want to say Devin broke a record, and I don't know how you break a record in 4th, 5th, 6th, whatever place. That's not breaking a record. Either you broke the record at number 1 or you didn't. Okay, so then they try to run that narrative. And then the very next night, Canelo breaks the record for real. And I'm saying is, what are you guys looking at? You know what I'm saying? Are you looking at a fighter in Canelo that has a problem with the great Eddie Reynoso and cutting off the ring? Did you see the problem with Robert Garcia cutting off the ring? Is it the coaches or is it the fighters? Right? That's what you get a chance to see, this narrative in the Devin Haney era. How good are these fighters? Because in the combat world, there's nowhere to run. In the boxing, there's nowhere to run. Listen, me and you get up in there with any one of them, they're going to corner us off. So you can't use
you coaching me?
Huh?
You're going to coach me?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
No, listen.
You think I could go all the way?
Listen, I guarantee you come to my institution, yeah, right.
Here in New York?
Huh?
Here in New York?
Yes.
Where's the home gym?
There's no home gym. We haven't picked any home gym.
Okay.
But I don't want to.
The city, Brooklyn.
We're going all over,
Okay.
all the boroughs. We're here representing it. Man.
I love it. I love it. We need some more New York fighters. I know transplant, but we need some more activity here.
Right. But we can't have the stone, the mummy feet.
Yeah,
Got to have active.
We got to move.
You have active feet, moving and stuff.
By the way, some people criticize Ryan with Derek James. They don't feel like the partnership is working out. Was that part of the problem a couple of weeks ago? Should Ryan have stayed with Reynoso, in your opinion? Because he's a bit of a nomad right now in terms of finding a head coach.
I don't know. I can't really understand Derek James. He talks so fucking low. I don't know what he's saying. Because I asked him, I said, are you doing the weight cut here? So I don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? I can't speak for Derek until he can come out and say, well, what the difference was. And he's a Hall of Fame trainer. I think he's been trainer of the year, but he won't address the weight cut with Ryan Garcia.
For the last one.
For the last one.
Yeah.
Why he was 3 pounds over, why he had the Osterine or whatever. And so that's what I'm saying is that's not gonna fly. With shows and platforms like you have, it continues to give the fighters, the managers and trainers the real opportunity to come in and have a voice.
Right now, how do you feel about the state of the game, the business? It's a fascinating time, right? With Turkey involved,
yes.
Ring, with Saudi.
And we're growing like you.
Well, what does that mean?
Are you growing?
Oh, we're growing. Yeah.
Are you growing?
I'd like to think so.
No, but I'm saying.
You feel like the sport is in a good spot?
Since you started, I've watched you.
I appreciate that.
Right? And you continue to grow and the sport is growing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that narrative that they're kicking is
I think it's a fascinating time for boxing. I think it's an exciting time.
Absolutely.
Like almost every weekend there's a great fight going on.
Listen, absolutely. I love the sport of boxing as a fan. I'm in the business. Of course, it's a cutthroat business. But
you ever get tired of it? Like, man, I don't need this crap. I see you battling everyone on social media. You ever get tired of this and be like, yo, just leave me alone. Let me go sit on a beach somewhere.
You know what? The amount of time and research that I actually spend at my job for my son gives me an unfair advantage I come in way more prepared than the narratives that they create. You know what I mean?
So you enjoy the
because
battle.
I love. You know what I mean? They look stupid. You know what I mean? I always say, listen, the narratives that they create and the comments that they're in the sections will not be the way that they're speaking at home. They will not be voicing that shit in front of their daughters and their kids and all that.
But I see you.
I'm the same
Charlo
way.
says something, you come back at him. Like some people are like, nah, forget that. You run to the fire. You wanna battle everyone.
No, it's all defense. You see.
No. But when I say battle,
but I'm saying this. But you see, he said something.
I'm not saying you start. I'm not saying you start.
Right,
Yeah. I'm just saying like some people will be like, yeah, let them say what they want to say. You come after them, which I think is cool. You're defending your son. You're defending yourself. Like fair play. You should.
But I'm defending a guy that's the youngest undisputed champion, right? A guy that has fought more champions than anyone at his age. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm in a great position.
I was just
because
wondering if you get tired of it.
No, never.
You love it.
Never. You heard somebody say something lately? I'm on their ass today on the Ariel Helwani Show.
Yes. No, I know. Listen, respect, man. I mean, if not your father, who is going to back you, right? Like the bond between a father and a son, there's nothing greater. I have 3 kids myself. I would walk in front of a train for them. Yes. I get it. I get it. This brings out a passion. And maybe some people think like, oh, they equate you with like coach, manager. No. This is father, son. This is a different level of bond. So I respect the fact that you want to go to war for your son and back him. Going back to that previous question, like I think everyone kind of wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be appreciated. Do you think when Devin's story is finished, when the story is complete, the arc is over, that he will be respected and appreciated for all the things you said? Fought X amount of champions, X amount of defenses. Do you think that he will be one of those guys that will be appreciated when he's gone? Sometimes it happens when they leave, right?
No. When we walk around New York City and people come up all the time and they're like, hey, Bill, you're doing a great job, man. They come up and they introduce their kids and stuff like that. That's the real world. Okay. And that's why I said when I first came out here, this is where combat sports meets reality. This is the real world. And we've done an excellent job at providing a lane for someone else to travel.
I love that.
That's what Devin Haney and his career represents right now.
I love it. So for now, you wait and see. We're hoping for October, and that's the next time we'll see Devin.
It's Devin Haney versus everybody. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
I love it.
And it's going to stay that. We ain't got no friends in the business. You don't see Devin partnering up and being friends with this guy in his division, that guy. No. We're not with a promoter because he has a relationship with a network. No, that's not for the people. When you're really doing it for the people, then you got to go against everybody like Devin.
I love it. Well, I wish you guys the best. Congratulations on the win. This was a pleasure. Now that you're in New York, come by anytime.
Hey, listen, absolutely.
Mi casa, su casa.
All right. Now, so you guys see what I got a platform.
Yes.
So y'all better
anytime. Anytime.
Be quiet.
The door's open for you and your family. Devin when he's in town. Sean as well. The whole family.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. You're the man, Bill. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.